Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the second installment of our beginner Gemara Brachos classes. I'm going to quickly review what we did yesterday. You can go to my YouTube channel. It's just under Yakov Horowitz. I would encourage you, there are two videos on Introduction to Gemara, Part 1 and 2. I would encourage you to look at those beforehand and then review yesterday's class Shiur, which is Shiur number 1 on beginner brachas. I'm going to go through just very quickly what we did yesterday and jump right into today's learning. So this is the actual page of Gemara. As I mentioned yesterday, we don't want to replace the Gemara. Quite to the contrary, we want this to be a tool for the learning of Gemara. So this is actually the Mishnah right over here. The Mishnah begins with Tefilas Hashachar here. Tefilas Hashachar ad Chatzais. That Tefilas Hashachar is until Shacharis, is until the morning. Okay, and we do not. Our workbook does not cover the rest of the Mishnah. I'm sorry. After Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yehuda Aimer ad Dalet Shais. Rabbi Yehuda says until 4 hours. Then the Mishnah continues. Mincha is until the evening. Rabbi Yehuda says it's until it's later on. Actually, it's a little bit earlier, till Plag HaMincha. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the second installment of our beginner classes on beginner Gemara. We are learning Gemara Brachos, Tefilas Hashachar, which is the fourth parak, the fourth chapter. Here is the actual text of the Gemara. We began yesterday. I would encourage you to have a look at the video. It's on my YouTube channel. Name there is Yakov Horowitz. Before that, I would encourage you to begin from the beginning, which are two introductory classes. It's called Introduction to Gemara, Part 1 and Part 2. That will give you all the background that you need in order to be able to get started on learning, and do video 1, and then we'll move on. So we learned yesterday, this here is part of a Mishnah. Tefilas Hashachar, the Tefillah of Shacharis. Shachar is the morning. Ad Chatzais is until noontime. Rabbi Yehuda Aimer ad Dalet Shais. And Rabbi Yehuda says it's until 4 hours. So this section was actually the only part of the Mishnah that we learned, and now we began here with the Gemara where it says V'raminu. And the Gemara asks a question, V'raminu, and I'll ask you a question. We quoted a brisa. A brisa is a quote from Tanaim that was not recorded in the Mishnah, and that brisa says mitzvasa im hanetzachama, kedei sheyismach geula l'tefila. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the second installment of our Shiurim lessons on Gemara Brachos. We're learning the fourth parak, chapter 4, which is called Tefilas Hashachar, and we're actually going to pick up where we left off yesterday, which was Hi, everyone, and welcome to the second installment of our Gemara Brachos Shiurim. We had the first shiur yesterday. Please go to my YouTube channel. It's Yakov Horowitz. I encourage you to have a look first at the two beginner shiurim. There's Introduction to Gemara, Part 1 and 2. That gives you the background you'll need to be able to jump into Gemara. And like I said, the first shiur was yesterday, and this is shiur 2. I'm going to review very quickly what we did yesterday. Now, one of the things we spoke about was the components of the Gemara, and they're color-coded. This green color is a memra, a statement. This bomb icon in a darker color is a kasha, a question. And what we're doing here is we're following. Here you see the different logical components, like here. A memra is a statement. Again, if you go to the introduction to Gemara, you can see it more carefully. Feel free to take a screenshot of here and look at it a little more, analyze it a bit more. Akasha is a question, answer is a response to that. Then we have a dechia, we put a proof, we push away a proof. We'll go through it further in the Gemara as we go. But the Gemara starts here from, the Mishnah said that Tefilas Hashachar ad chatzais, quoting the Chachamim, that Tefilas Hashachar, the davening of Shacharis is ad chatzais, is until midday. Rabbi Yehuda said it's until the 4th hour of the day. That was the only piece that we actually quoted for this Mishnah. And then we begin with the Gemara, which asks a question. V'raminu, I'll ask you a question. It says, mitzvasa im hanetzachama. The mitzvah of Shacharis is the best time, is right in the morning. Not best time, it is in the morning. So you could daven together, Kriya Shema together with davening. V'nimtza mispalel b'yom. That's all we got to yesterday. Let's go through it in the Gemara Workbook for greater detail. So the first statement was a quote from our Mishnah. Tefilas Hashachar ad chatzais. Tefilas Hashachar is until 6 hours into the day. Rabbi Yehuda Omer ad arba shas. Rabbi Yehuda says no, it's actually only 4 hours in the day, and after 4 hours, it's too late to daven Shacharis, it would seem. And then here we have step 2. The Gemara says, well, I'll ask you a question. V'raminu, I will ask you a question that we have this brisa, this other statement that says that mitzvasa im hanetzachama, the mitzvah of Shema is to do it with sunrise, at the time of sunrise, so you should have the geula, Gal Yisrael, right next to Shemoneh Esrei, v'nimtza mispalel b'yom. It turns out that you wind up davening during the day. That's what we did yesterday, and we have a beautiful chart here that Rabbi Spivak, the author of this book, made, that Tefilas HaShachar, according to the Chachamim, it's 6 hours in the day. According to Rabbi Yehuda, it's through the 4th hour of the day. And now we're asking a kasha, a question that we have a brisa that says that it's vasikin, it's actually sunrise. So, well, which of these is correct? And we have a real conflict here. I mentioned yesterday, I'll briefly review, we have these icons throughout the books as a mental trigger to help you connect and understand exactly what's going on. It's just a visual icon. So the Mishnah says, if you look in the back of the train, the Mishnah says you can daven for at least 4 hours of the day. The Brisa says you have to start davening at sunrise. So obviously these two are in conflict with each other. So that's where we ended yesterday. And the Gemara actually says, now, Ki Tanya, so the sugya here, I'm up to here, the sugya continues with the teretz to the kasha. So the first step was a statement. We said that there are two opinions, either until chatzos, until noontime, or until the 4th hour of the day. And then we had a question that we have a brisa, a quote from a Talmud Chacham that said, Vasikin is the time to daven, at sunrise. And again, the big idea is that the Shachris is when you're waking up, when we say in Kriya Shema, right? B'shachbacha uv'kumecha, that we say Kriya Shema when we go to sleep and when we wake up. In halacha and Jewish law, the night is before the day. So it would make sense that we would say b'shachbacha first when you go to sleep, uv'kumecha when you get up. So when you get up, it's time to say Kriya Shema. So this theory of Vasikin would follow with that, because the first time you could say Kriya Shema is at sunrise. And remember, again, in the times of the Gemara, there was really very little work to be done at night. Most people worked in the fields, and after a certain amount of time, when the sun went down, that was it. You had to go into the home. So people did wake up at the crack of dawn. And that would make sense that would be a time to say Kriya Shema. But the question is that we had before, we had I'll scroll back here quickly, the other opinions here were, this first one of the Chachamim, again, said 6 hours. Rabbi Yehuda said you could up until the 4th hour. And then we had a question, how does this Vasikin fit in? So the Gemara answers, this is a teretz, an icon is a shield, it's in yellow. So the sugya means a topic, continues with the teretz, an answer to the kasha, what we asked yesterday. And the Gemara answers, Ki Tanya, that brisa was talking about, Ki Tanya, when did that brisa teach? Livasikin, for Vasikin. People the translation is people who love mitzvahs and rush to do them. So what we're answering is, again, I'm reading the text of Rabbi Spivak, this teretz, this answer, is a maskana that corrects a havamina. A havamina is what we thought earlier. We made an assumption that the tefillah was, we were talking about the last time you could daven. And what we're answering now is that the Brisa discusses the optimal, the best thing to daven is Vasikin, but you really could daven either until 4 hours or until 6 hours of the day. Here's another icon that we have throughout the book, the Havamina. There's the Brisa was talking, we thought it was talking about this, what everyone must do, right? So that was the Havamina. It was broken because we had a question that we have, the Mishnah says that it's either till 6 or 4 hours. So the maskana, we fix it up with cement. Again, this is just a visual trigger. You're not responsible for that for the test. It's just a trigger. It's just to promote your thinking here. So the Gemara answers that the Bryce is telling us the way Vasikin would do the mitzvah. So now we have no stira anymore. The Mishnah is telling us the halacha regarding the entire time that a person may daven shachas. On the other hand, the Bryce is telling us about a special time when Vasikin would daven. Vasikin means somebody who's very careful in the performance of the mitzvahs. And so the Mishnah says everyone must finish shachris here by the end of 4 to 6 hours. And the Brisa says the Vasikin would begin Shmona Esrei of Shachris the first moment after sunrise. Okay? And as we saw in those steps, now very often we come with a proof. The Amar Rabbi Yochanan, we're here in this text here. The Amar Rabbi Yochanan says that Daled Aleph Reish is the Amar Rav, so that the Amar Rebbe, so that's why it's in parentheses here. So Rabbi Yochanan said, Vasikin, the careful people, Hayu Gaimrim Isa, the Vasikin would finish. Rabbi Spivak, the author, left out a line, leaves out lines from time to time, so you can, put in your own words and get a little test yourself on the knowledge. So the Vasikin would say it, the last bracha of Shema, im hanetzachama, together with sunrise. Okay, so Vasikin, hayagomer maisai, im hanetzachama, together with the rising of the sun, together with sunrise here on the English side. So the statement shows that finishing Shema and starting Shemona Esrei at sunrise is a special thing the Vasikin did, but not something that everyone must keep. This proves our Brisa that says the idea of saying it at sunrise was talking about Vasikin. So this is a proof that was brought to to this situation. And let's just do it actually in the Gemara itself. Starting from here, Viraminhu. Viraminhu, and I'll ask you a question, mitzvah, it's mitzvah, im hanetzachama, this is quoting a Brisa, kedei sheyismach, in order that you should make close, geula, gal Yisrael, litfila to Shmona Esrei, v'nimtza mispalel b'yayim, and it turns out that you'll be davening during the day. This is the Brisa, okay? And this is a conflict with the Mishnah, because the Mishnah said it's either 6 hours or 4 hours. So the Gemara answers, and here's where the answer starts, where the cursor is, right over here. And the Gemara answers, Ki Tanya, you know what that is talking about? Ki Tanya hahi levasikin. That was talking about extra special people who were very, very careful to do all the mitzvahs right. And then we bring a proof. The Amar Rabbi Yochanan, because Rabbi Yochanan said, Vasikin haya, Vasikin, these careful people, hayu gaimrim isa, they would finish it. What's the it? Shema, excuse me. Im hanetzachama, right about the time, netz means rising, the rising of the sun. And so this is a proof to the teretz. Sometimes you have a proof when somebody asks a question, he'll bring a proof to it. And sometimes the proof is to the answer. Now we're going to go back to the workbook for a really important exercise that Rabbi Spivak has throughout the books to help you review the various parts of the Gemara and really sear it into your memory in a very enjoyable way. So these are just vocabulary words, okay? These I will do with you over here. So retranslate and explain the following Gemara. But here's what I want to draw your attention to. And we have many, many exercises like this throughout the Gemara, where we say, just a moment, here we go. Okay, please here, underline, you see it says here, underline the words of Rabbi Yochanan. Now, the object of this exercise is, as you're reviewing the Gemara, to be able to find exactly the right word, what word belongs to which type of statement. So let's look for Rabbi Yochanan. Kitanya, like we learned, Ahi Levasikin. This is talking about the extra special people. The Amar Rabbi Yochanan, because Rabbi Yochanan said, now let's underline. So if we were putting quotations, they would be right here, right? This would be an open quotation. Vasikin hayu gaimrim aisa im hanetzachama. So Vasikin would finish it in the netzachama. This is exactly and this would be the close quote for Rabbi Yochanan. I'm going to move it, make a little bit thinner font for the next time. So, so the Vasikin used to finish it together with the Netzachama. Let me show you another exercise. Here we go again. Now we're identifying steps. You see this icon here? When you see this in the workbook, that means, obviously it's showing you different colored steps. It's a great exercise to help you identify where the memra, the kasha, the teretz, the raya, it gets you to really understand how this works. So underline the memra, the statement, Tefilas Hashachar ad, Tefilas Hashachar ad chatzais, okay, and Rabbi Yehuda Aimer ad dalet shais. Sorry about that. Okay, so that is underlined, that is the statement, bracket the kasha. Verminu, I'll ask you a question, it's a kashya. Mitzvasa im hanetzachama, the mitzvah is for the netzachama, for sunrise. You're supposed to say Kriya Shema at sunrise. Today, sheyismach geula l'tfila, so that you can make Shmanes geula, the Gal Yisrael, next to the davening. V'nimtza mispalel b'yayim. So really, if you're looking at it, this is where the kasha ends. So these are the two brackets where we're marking off the end. This is where it ends, and here is where it starts. Okay, Viraminu, I'll ask you a question. All of this is a question. Let's just go back to the Gemara and check that we're right. Okay, when I believe it was yesterday's lesson, the previous lesson. Okay, here we go. So the Gemara says, right, that's the train is the proof. Here we go. Okay, so we said, Viraminu, I'll ask you a question. This is all part of the kasha. You see the color code? Mitzvasa im hanetzachama. We're supposed to say it in the netzachama. Kedei sheyismach geula l'tfila, to make Shmoneh Esrei Gal Yisrael, right? Gal Yisrael here, next to tefillah, next to the dafen, is Shmoneh Esrei. V'nimtza mispalel b'yayim. So this is the end of the question, and this is the visual image for the question. You have here 6 hours, right? You have 6 hours, 4 hours, and here we're saying that no, it's actually right by Vasikin, right at the beginning of the day. So obviously we have a conflict here, and that's why the trains show that they're heading at each other. Okay, so let's go back to our homework sheet. Okay, so here we go. So Verminu, if we're putting brackets around the kasha, so those brackets would be starting here, right? Make a bracket this way here, Verminu, and V'nimtza mispalel b'yayim, that ends right over here. Okay, now circle the teretz. So the Gemara answers, Ki Tanya hahila v'sikin. This was listed for the v'sikin, the people who were very careful at keeping mitzvahs. Now, the Amar Rabbi Yochanan is a proof. So Rabbi Spivak asked to make a parentheses, the raya to the teretz. So here, we're going to put parentheses here. This is a proof to the Gemara. The Amar Rabbi Yochanan, because Rabbi Yochanan said, Vasikin hayagoymer maisa, the Vasikin would finish im hanetzachama. So this is really important to, when you see this icon over here, identify steps. That means that you're going to be asked to go over the, to go over each of those icons. Okay, so sugya up to point. Place a small number. Then another way of going over this. Place a small number at the beginning of each step. So Tefilas Hashachar ad chatzais is 1. Okay, Verminu here is 2. Verminu, I ask you a question. So 3 is here. So the Gemara answers, Kitanya hahila v'sikin. We know this is v'sikin. The Amar Rabbi Yochanan, because Rabbi Yochanan said v'sikin finished it with the Netzachama. Okay. And here's, again, another exercise. It seems like you're doing the same thing, but not really, because you're marking it and you're writing it in your own words. So we have all together, we did 4 steps. So Memra, we got, right? The Chachamim said 6 hours, Rabbi Yehuda said 4 hours. The Gemara asks a question, right? But we have a brisa that says that it's for Vasikin, so that's a kasha. So the Gemara answers a teretz. No, Vasikin was only for the people, the best people, the people who were so careful about mitzvahs, and we prove it because Rabbi Yochanan said mitzvah samanetzachem. Okay, I hope we're getting the swing of it. The idea is, again, each of those steps will really help you be able to capture the learning as we go on. Okay, let's buckle up, and we're just going to start step 5. We're not going to finish it today. We'll at least get started on it. We have a pretty long kasha on what we said until now, and we're going to go part of the way through it and finish the rest tomorrow in Shiur number 3. Okay, so I'm going to do it here in the book, then go to the Gemara. But the Gemara now asks another kasha on the memra said in the Mishnah. Okay, now here is an important point now that, again, we're reading text. We don't see the people, right? So we don't get to see the Chachamim have this discussion. So sometimes we have to know when something is written in the form of a kasha, even though it might be interpreted as a statement. And Rabbi Spivak always does this, has great analogies for us. And so Rebbe says, Yankee, where's your homework? And Yankee answers, it wasn't this Yankee, it was one of Rabbi Spivak's Talmidim Yankee, but this Yankee also used not the dog ate it, but so he had an excuse, a dog ate it. So Rebbe says, a dog ate it? Okay, so what's the difference between this statement here and this one? They're both the same words, a dog ate it. Here's a question mark. But when you read it in the Gemara, we don't even have punctuation. So it's important to know that the tone, excuse me, so the tone, which obviously you can't see or hear by reading the Gemara from the Mishnah, from the actual, the Gemara itself. In fact, when we get to the Gemara, we'll look at the words inside. But it's just, so Rabbi Spivak is just explaining that this is true about the phrase that the Gemara will use to introduce the question. So if you just read the words, it could sound like the Gemara is repeating what we said in the Mishnah. However, when you read it with the proper tone, the words show that the Gemara is challenging that which we said. So it's therefore very important to read with the proper tone. And we call this bitmiya, or sometimes people don't always pronounce the word right. Sometimes you'll hear it says bitmiya. Bitmiya, it's really with a wonder. So this is read with a wonder. Now, v'chuli alma, does the entire world say ad chatzos, until, remember the Chachamim said they were the most lenient. They said you can go all the way till the 6th hour, till noontime. So the Gemara asks a question, v'chuli alma, alma is the world, the entire world. I get that's what we would fill in here, right? The entire world. I'm just going to encourage you, reading, this is Aramaic, so it's a whole new language. But very often there are similarities to Hebrew. So if you take the word, the first half of this word, alma, is olam, word, ending with an aleph. A lot of Aramaic words end with an aleph. So sometimes it might not help you the first time with translation, but if you knew the translation already and you see some words that look familiar, kule is koil, right? Kaf lamed is these two letters, kaf lamed is koil, every. Okay, and this is an abbreviation. V'chuli alma, does the entire world say ad chatzos, only until chatzos, until, right, meidaven until chatzos, v'sulai, and no, not more than that? And we say now, but v'ha'amar Rav Mari b'rei de Rav Huna, b'rei de Rav Yirmiyah bar Abba, Amar Rabbi Yochanan. We know that the Gemara says that if one repeats something in the name of the person that said it, it brings geula to the world. Okay, it brings geula to the world. If obviously it doesn't mean the full geula of Mashiach, but it contributes towards bringing salvation to the world. That means again the Gemara. So therefore, you find many times in the Gemara, it's also a proper thing to do. It's polite, and the person saying this isn't mine. So we want to. It was very important that the proper chain of the chain of Rebbe to Talmud is important to preserve. So Rav Mari, the son of Berei, is the son of the Rav Huna. Rav Mari, the son of Rav Huna, Berei the Rav Yirmiyah bar Abba, who's the grandson of Rav Yirmiyah bar Abba. Okay, Omer Rabbi Yochanan, in the name of Rabbi Yochanan. So really, the quote here, if we're putting quotation marks, I mean, it would be by what he said, but the quotation marks would go here. Rabbi Yochanan was the one who actually said it. If he made a mistake, v'loy hispalel arvis, if he made a mistake and forgot to daven ma'ariv, mispalel, he prays, he davens b'shachris, during shachris, shtayim, twice. Right here, Rabbi writes here, in parentheses, once for shachris and once for ma'ariv. So, therefore, if somebody missed shachris, if he missed shachris, that's what we're talking about. Mispal b'mincha shtayim. So mincha yadaven twice. So what the Gemara is saying here is, how could you say? Does everybody say only until chatzais? Only until halfway through the day, 6 hours? V'sulai, not any more than that. But we have a quote from Rav Mari, the son of Rav Huna, the son of Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Abba, who said in the name of Rabbi Yochanan. So Rabbi Yochanan was the one who said this, that if he made a mistake and he forgot to daven, any tefillah that you miss, you daven the next tefillah twice. So why does it say you can only say shachris until 6 hours in the day? If he missed shachris altogether, he could daven a second Shemona Esrei after mincha, and that would be the entire day. So this is what we leave with the question. We're going to stop here just after I go over the actual text in the Gemara itself. Okay, so here we see it starts over here, v'chuli alma. Okay, so if you look the Gemara, okay, just a second. Okay, so the Gemara is starting from this abbreviation, v'chuli alma. Okay, we're starting from here. V'chuli alma, and the entire world, Olam is world, Koil is all of it. So does the entire world say ad chatzos v'sulai, and not more than this? Again, if we were putting punctuation, we would put a question mark here. So does the whole world say only until chatzos and not more than this? But we know that Rav Mari, the son of Rabbi Huna, the son of Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Abba, in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, was the one who said this. Ta'av lo hispal al arvis, if he made a mistake and didn't daven shachris, mincha, ma'ariv, excuse me. If he made a mistake and he didn't daven ma'ariv, arvis is erev, that's ma'ariv. Mispal b'shachris shtayim, he davens twice by shachris. Shachris, if he forgot shachris, mispalal, he prays, he davens b'mincha shtayim. So, and if that's so, kula yaimei matzli v'azal. Okay, so he should be davening the whole day, kuli amma. So he really has the whole day, because if he didn't do it before in shachris time, he could do it by mincha. And we're going to end it right here. I hope you enjoyed. See you tomorrow. I'll see you at the next year.